Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you gotta get spotted. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Sorry, I didn't have Spotify open. I realized at the last second. I was like, wait a second. We need music. All right, so today we've got retail sales. Let's make sure that we got the news squawk on and everything. We got 3 minutes. Let's be really quick here. Treasuries, after a little bit of selling because of China, we eventually moved higher. Let's see here. There was some news involved in that too, right? I don't remember what it was. But we are higher. And then if retail sales disappoint here, I think that you could really see the treasuries move. Because it's been the consumer that's been holding this up. And if they're showing signs of weakness, then it really starts to look like we could be moving into a recession. Here's the S&P 500. They did pretty okay yesterday. Oil holding. Gold and silver. Well, gold, silver. Okay, so silver's holding. You know, I don't know. It seems like they've got pretty good support above 65, which is well above, you know, its previous all-time high. So, but yeah, here's copper. Japanese yen, still seeing some strength in the Japanese yen, but the dollar not quite as bad as it was. Bitcoin trying to recover, but at the moment on the downward. And it's just like the longer term perspective here. Okay, so there's the retail sales. How come I didn't hear my news squawk? Oh no, that's not my retail sales. That's got to be something else. Still got a minute. By the way, U.S. retail sales month over month, we're looking for a reading of spot 4. Core retail sales also spot 4. I'm just going to restart Financial Juice here because I'm not hearing anything and I feel like I should be. Okay, now I'm hearing something. I'll check Twitter here. Maybe there was something on Twitter. There was ADP earlier. Yeah, what was it yesterday? No, we didn't have anything yesterday. I don't remember anymore. Okay, so the liquidity is all pulled. Okay, we get 0. We got 0. That's a buy. Oh, I don't have a thing open over here. I was like, hey, you wanna film me? Huh? Huh? Sure. It's probably going to pull back here a little bit. Yeah, they're going to play that game on me. Sure. So we're seeing the S&P is selling off of this as well. So we're getting a full risk off move. Treasuries not, well, they kind of pull back. Maybe they're catching some support here. It's a big iceberg at the top that kind of stopped them. So see if they can get over that. It's like it's going bid, but they're having a hard time getting a strong bid there yet. Okay, they're nibbling at it. So again, my thinking is that a poor retail sales number, okay, so they got past that pretty easily, although it is going to reload a little bit. It's going to go back and forth a little bit, but the initial take, there was not much there. My thinking is the consumer has kind of been the thing that has been driving this economy. And now that we're kind of getting some of these other softer data points suggesting that things are getting weak, particularly that that JOLTS number, and concerns that the non-farms number tomorrow, well, it'll already be Wednesday, that tomorrow will be weak. So if retail sales are also weak, then that really strongly suggests that the economy is still weak, and that sooner rate cuts may be necessary. It's kind of what I'm thinking. Maybe now we'll get maybe a March cut. And a March cut seems maybe a little too optimistic on my part, but I think we might need a little bit more data for them to start saying, for like Federal Reserve members to start saying, oh, maybe we need a March cut. But it sure seems like it's heading in that direction. Now, on the other hand, it looks like the SPOOs have reversed their initial downside. It's only like 10 points, but they're buying SPOOs right now, which might be a problem for the treasuries over here. Ooh, that would be a little nasty if we get a weak retail sales number and interest rates end up higher on the day. Let's see here. And by the way, it was both core and the headline retail sales that were 0 versus the expected spot 4 on both. So, and I wouldn't say that spot 4 is like a huge miss for retail sales, but I would still say it's like a standard miss, but still very bad and in a very bad time. Okay, now that's interesting. There's a very big bid there at 13. So I'm gonna probably let's let it do its thing for a second. I got a muffin here. That'll be a good thing because I'm probably focusing on the short-term action a little bit too much. I don't like that there's only 5 at 12 and 12.5. That's a little unusual. And we are pretty thick still, so and it looks like I'm still having this problem with my indicator that if I leave it open overnight, it doesn't seem to grab the value correctly. Today is the 9th. No, it's not the 9th. Somebody on Fox Business also saying we need to revise our expectations on the jobs number. So there's like the U.S. administration is trying to reset expectations because they know it looks bad and it probably is going to reflect poorly on the administration. A recent polling suggesting that Americans overall are dissatisfied with Trump's handling of the economy. Like they really needed change before the midterms, because if if we're going into a period of weakness and then that weakness persists into the midterms, I think that it would probably be pretty bad for the Republicans. Okay, we're stepping back up to the high again. The rate has actually changed a little bit more. Interesting.
Block buy.
Okay. Okay, good breakout there. Recenter a little bit. Oh, and also we need to check where are our volatility levels. Is this where we want to be? Yeah, it is. I think today could be one of those days where we go for the R+2. But we're probably going to build a hole here first. Let's see what they do. Oh, Navarro, he, what is the word? Moderated his comments. I'm not expecting weak job numbers. Oh, Monty, I didn't realize you were from Minnesota. Man, I wish you had told me that sooner, because I would have been, could have asked you much more about how you felt, what was going on up there. Which, by the way, seemed like as soon as they started arresting protesters, that all flipped around really quickly, didn't it? Okay, I see. So it seems like it's actually ZB over here that we kind of have to look at. Oh, they bounced hard off that. They got the fraud story out of the cycle and that was the goal? Maybe. I mean, I don't personally well, let's, because it's not really personally. Personally, I do kind of agree with you. but like from a like what can we prove standpoint, it really was like the fraud story came out, and that was why Donald Trump decided to do a surge into Minneapolis. And then so I don't know if we can really convince other people of that one. It kind of feels to me more like that Trump engineered it, and then the Democrat leaders just, you know, played into it like he probably knew they would. You know what I mean?
Block sell.
Am I wrong about that? Didn't the surge happen after the fraud story broke? Like they were talking about going in, and then the fraud story happened, and they're like, yeah, let's go in. Well, I tell you what, the E-mini seems a little bit confused what to do with this data, and the treasuries as a result seem to be going back and forth as well. What the happened to my ZB? Did it crash? I look away. Oh, wait, there's ZB right there. Nope, not that one. ZF, CN, ZB. Oh, I see what happened. There we go. No. We're talking about Minnesota. Can't play like it's only Minnesota. Can't play like it's a Somali thing. It's like down here in Florida, when you drive through poor areas, you pass through these strip malls, right? And there's like 4 smoke shops and massage places in the same plaza. Little vice shops in poor areas are almost entirely fronts. Oh, let me know if you need the latest build today. Oh, we do need to pull that up. I don't know if this week seems kind of like a bad week, but we do want to do it this week because I don't know when our VPS ends. Yeah, they all get mad incentives to open businesses and tax breaks to do it. Yeah, that's true. It is kind of weird though to me. When I go to poorer areas, like the kind of cultural things that I see, because there's like it feels to me like there's like national culture. Like for instance, Mahdi says that he's Somali. I don't really know a whole lot about Somali culture. So that one's probably like a bad example. Okay. But like Indian, there's definitely Indian culture, which I really, really like, by the way. Totally love Indians. And there's like that culture. But then there's also this poor culture that just seems to be across the board everywhere, you know? I almost wonder if it's like when poor immigrants come over to the United States that they pick that culture up from other people or something. You know what I mean? Because I just see certain like patterns of behavior and all of that sort of stuff that I think kind of leads you towards staying poor, essentially, right? And oftentimes they contradict what the culture is, what their national culture is. Does that make sense? You know, I would think that most immigrants, and I mean people that are coming over, they have nothing here to start with. Those are going to be very enterprising individuals. Those are going to be people that want to work hard, and they often come from cultures that work hard. Like South American cultures, they know how to work hard. They do, absolutely. But then you go to these poor areas and they're just doing nothing. Really, we have a clubwear place about 10 to 15 minutes from our house, and it's been there for years, and I've literally never seen a human being there, not so much as a car in the parking lot. Really? It's probably a place that only has 1 or 2 people at it at a time, though. But you never even seen a car in the parking lot. That's kind of funny. Ah, man, you get my thinking about club culture. So here's the thing that's happening in the club world. Okay, I should get on a different subject because I'm talking about something that's a little bit too spicy, a little bit too spicy. Okay, yeah. I personally feel that a lot of poor people do things that seem innocuous but actually do hurt them. And I don't think that it's like the common Republican refrain that well, they're carrying over bad culture from somewhere else. I don't think that's it. I think that there's like a bad culture here in the United States that they absorb. So be careful who you hang out with, right? That's really what it comes down to. We hang out with people that value excellence. Okay, so here's what's happening in the club scene. Okay, the big thing has been techno. Okay. Kind of started as like people were kind of getting, well, the last really big thing was big room. Okay. Everything was big room house for a long time. Festival house. Basically, it just had this really kind of really heavy kick. And that got tiring really quickly. And then melodic techno came along. Basically, the guys over in the techno scene started making melodic tracks because progressive house and trance kind of wasn't popular. So there's kind of like this hole. And it got filled by techno instead of the genres that are typically more melodic. Okay. There's also this thing in techno where techno tends to have a more rumbly kick. I know, is this good? I'm like getting so detailed about the sounds, right? Techno tends to have more of a kind of a rumbly kick. Okay. And they started like really playing into that, and people really liked that too. So there was the rumbly kick and the melodic thing came in, and that started to make techno more and more popular until the point that it basically everything was techno and tech house. So like John Summit is kind of tech house. It's like in between techno and house, right? I honestly, I find a lot of it boring and uninventive, the tech house stuff, but a lot of the techno are really liked. But there's a problem. There's a problem with techno. Techno is really popular in Germany, and a lot of Germans are really snobby. I don't know, is that a German thing? Is it Germany overall? I don't know. I just know that the techno community overall has always been a little bit snobby. There's different parts of the techno community, but there's like this part of the techno community that has like their fetish clubs in Berlin that are just really snobby. And so when they took over, it basically turned into you have to wear black or other techno associated fashion and yada yada. Okay. So basically we moved from like this really big festival, like flashy outfits, radical acceptance kind of thing, to everything's black. We don't let people in that we don't think are rave enough. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Yeah, Kit Kat free STDs. It's just, they are like it's really weird to me that the two biggest clubs down there that people talk about are also, as I understand it, kind of like swinger clubs. But I digress. Or maybe not. We shouldn't call them swinger clubs, but fetish clubs, and naughty things happen there. Okay. So I hate it, to be honest. I hate the black, the techno snobber. It reminds me very much of like 1999 when trance was kind of at its peak, and it was getting super cheesy, and you'd get all of these kids, their huge Jinko jean flood pants and hoodies, sitting in the back arguing about whether the song was trance enough or something. Like it is just kind of like leads to bad vibes and a bad party, and it collapses very quickly. So the reason why I bring it up, because you talk about the clubwear thing, is that the clubwear has changed, and the kind of stuff that you would go and get at a clubwear store is not as popular anymore. And everybody instead wants to get like black techwear. Kind of more goth looking stuff. Right? Like techno goth. So those clubwear companies are hurting a little bit. I know, it's a weird thing. But here's what happens. Is a recession comes, the music gets faster, and people want something completely different. And if your genre has gotten too cheesy, which frankly I feel that techno is kind of getting too cheesy at this point, there's like a complete implosion. Like that part of the scene just and disappears, and all of a sudden everybody's like, this isn't cool anymore. Just like one day, it like happens over the course of 1 month. Just one day everybody wakes up, oh, techno's not cool anymore. I wouldn't be caught dead at a techno club. It's been hurting apparently for 20 years. Yeah, well, maybe it is just a front. Because I mean, like, we'd had places like that in Salt Lake. It would be like a record store and a clubwear store. They got decent business. Actually, they did pretty good until somebody decided to bust in the window and steal stuff. And then the owner decided, well, I wasn't making that much money from it anyways, decided to just not keep it. I would think in Florida. But you're not. You're also in an area of Florida where that's not very popular. Right, like if it was Miami, be a different thing. I'm breaking up. I'm sorry. I probably did something. Techno's big here in Berlin. Everyone's accepted. You can just be yourself. Lots of people partying on another level. I think it's pretty cool. Well, I really like it. Like I think that the broader rave culture, there's things that I really like about it. On one hand, well, let me put it this way. It's very liberal. And I would say both liberal in the classic sense and liberal in like the left-wing United States kind of a sense, where they're very, very forward-thinking. They want to try out new ideas and new things and new experiences. And so they have this idea of just radically accept everything. Okay. And that can be a really cool thing. But it can also be harmful. Because if you accept everything, you can accept things that are harmful to you. Right? The issue that the club scene is having right now is that some people are starting to realize that. But the things that they're like, oh, we shouldn't accept are like basically Donald Trump supporters. They're obsessed over whether anybody there voted for Donald Trump. I'm not even kidding. It's like this constant argument on forums and stuff like that. Which, like, how would you know? I bet you that at any party there's probably at least a quarter of them were Donald Trump supporters or voted for Donald Trump if you're in the US, you know? And you never noticed. So it's kind of silly. But so it's a little frustrating to me that it's like, we're going to what is the word? You know, we're going to act like mean girls about who you voted for. But we're not going to exercise more discretion when it comes to what kind of substances we put into our bodies or some of the crazy ideas that we accept. You know, like, come on. Like, it's a good thing to say people. I accept people. I would disagree with the things that you're doing or how you're living your life. But in terms of the personal interactions, I want to make everybody feel like they're welcome. That's a good thing, I think. That leads to good things. Whereas some of this other stuff, I think, are just like base instincts gone awry. It's probably just me on refresh. You're good now. So Mari, I am interested though. How were you able to come over to the United States? Was it like refugee? You already had family here? What was kind of like your in to be able to immigrate? This is another thing I'm interested in. I mean, Because when it comes to the immigration issue, my only thing is we should have a law that benefits the people that are already here, and we should follow that law. I hate this thing that's like, we're just going to not follow the law because we never agreed with that law in the first place. No, that's not how it works. You have big problems if you do that. Okay. But there's a lot of other things that are going on, like people immigrating from Somalia as refugees, that I think are beyond my understanding. I can't really sit down and say, like, that's a good thing or a bad thing. I know that a lot of people on the Republican side really don't think that we should be allowing anybody from Somalia to immigrate here. You're a refugee after the Civil War. Okay. Yeah, I just, I mean, I understand there's this thing, like, you have a country, or you have, like my neighborhood. Let's make it more local. I like my neighborhood. It's a Mormon neighborhood. Everybody here is Mormon. Pretty much everybody goes to church. And if you're like the one or two people that don't go to the Mormon church, we still know who you are because, you know, we want to try and convert you at some point. Not that it's like every interaction is trying to convert you, but we're just like, we try to be aware so that those people still feel included, right? And so you get a good neighborhood. The way that neighborhoods used to be. And some of these issues that I see in other parts of the country, we don't have here in Utah because, at least we don't have here in Utah in the areas that are still predominantly Mormon, like the suburban areas, right? It's probably not always going to be like that. At some point, enough boomers are going to die and they're going to be replaced, and probably the people that come in and buy those houses are going to be less likely to be Mormon. And in 100 years, there's a good chance, it's not guaranteed, but in 100 years, there's a good chance that my neighborhood will not be the same. And I don't like that. I would prefer it stay this way and one of my kids take my house and they can continue to live in the same kind of community that I grew up in. You know what I mean? So people that live somewhere and they like where it is would like it to stay the same. But there's a problem with that because the world changes. Some things have to change with the world. I don't know if that's something that needs to change, but it probably is going to. And how do you deal with that? Right? How do you balance out a changing world and the rights of other people to come and to buy a house and move and all of that, and the people that want it to stay the same? There's our society, the structure of our society in America. We don't have an answer to that. Our answer is basically what happens. So it's just the market figures it out, sorts it out, right? If you go to Japan, their answer in Japan is we make it very, very, very difficult for anybody to become a Japanese citizen unless they were basically born in Japan and Japanese. That's their answer to it. Well, you can see the positives and negatives of it, right? Japan culturally stays the same, but also Japan culturally stays the same. And so there are some things going on over there that like scandals and everything occasionally, where that traditional culture has kind of allowed people to do naughty things. That sort of stuff happens. There was any Somalis from the 90s to 2007. You can thank liberals for that. I'm all for that. Oh, there wasn't. I think you meant to say there wasn't any Somalis in the 90s to 2007. You can thank liberals for that. Was it really 2007? Because I remember. Well, I guess it was between 2007 and 2016, huh? I just remember when Obama changed that and that I don't know why it was, but Minnesota in particular was kind of selected as the place where they would go, and people saying like Minnesota is going to change. And I didn't realize how liberal Minnesota had always been. Okay, so I don't think that I ever really understood Minnesota, but at the same time, it does seem like Minnesota has very much changed because of it, right? Wow, in my high school, there's only 10 of us, and now that same high school is all Somali. Well, very good. Very interesting. But see, so here's the spicy question, though, that I'm interested in. I'm interested to hear your perspective of. Because some Republicans think that Somali culture is just bad, degenerate, they're all scammers. It's a real, I think that the proper term for it is it's a very low trust society. It's a very low trust society. Do you feel that way about Somali culture? Or do you think we're seeing a lot of fraud there in Minnesota? Do you think it's something else? Jesse Ventura called it out. I don't remember that. You think it's false? Okay, so what would you say are like the top 3 values in Somali culture? Like, I think if I was going to say the top values in American culture, it would be freedom, hard work, and taking risks. Those are the 3 things about American culture that are different from other countries that I think really stand out and make America the country that it is. Right? So what would you say are the key values? Religion and family. Interesting. Although I think a lot of places religion and family is a big deal, right? Okay, so not to put words in your mouth, but I'm kind of thinking here. So for the people that are concerned about like the fraud, I think the argument would be the fraud isn't because Somalis are all fraudsters, but rather that the whole structure of the system and everything basically encourages fraud. Maybe perhaps one theory for it, right? Which actually is something I've been thinking about a lot. It's like, okay, you can do a lot of great things with government, but those things also often invite fraud, waste, and abuse. And ultimately, if it gets too big time corruption, right? Was talking about it with some. So one of the things that I'm seeing people talk, like some of people at work talk about, is the explosion of betting markets in the US. So like sports betting is a big thing now. And we're getting like these betting markets like Kalshi and things like that. And you start getting into these weird places where it's like, well, okay, if you know information, you can go and make money on the betting market. And is that legal or is it not legal? And a lot of the things that they're making money off of in the betting markets, it kind of exists in a gray area, right? It exists in a gray area where it's unclear. It qualifies as public information, but maybe it shouldn't, sort of a thing, right? And you can come in and you can say that that's not legal for you to trade on, and then you give other people tips, or there's like ways, like there's no way to get rid of it. Some people have this idea that all participants in the market should have the same information, that it should be an even playing field in terms of information, which is just not practical. It's just not practical. The market is basically structured the exact opposite. The way that it's structured is the people with the biggest advantage are the people with money and the people with information, right? So you can't get rid of it. You can't change that about it. But here's the problem, is that kind of stuff does invite corruption. It does. So it's like this intractable problem. Like we have this thing, we have markets, there's going to be people that are going to exploit them, and it will cause corruption. And every time that you try and do something about it, it's not really going to change much because at the end of the day, the heart of it is that the market incentivizes that. Right? And so, but it's the same thing with government services. So when you have all these government services, it's a good thing and they can help people, but it also invites fraud, waste, and abuse. And there's a substantial body of evidence to suggest that too much, like having like a support system, like you lose your job and there's unemployment benefits, for instance, very, very beneficial to the economy. Very, very beneficial. And one of the best things that you can do in a recession is extending the unemployment benefits. Okay. But too much benefits can keep people poor. And there's a lot of research to suggest that. What do you think of the heat map? So the heat map is an okay tool. I'm concerned that the heat map focuses people's attention on the wrong things. You don't necessarily want to pay too much attention to the absolute number of contracts sitting at any one price as much as you would do the changes, especially on the inside bid and offer, which you can't see very well on the heat map. Okay. If I were to make my own heat map, I think that I would try to include some sort of a feature that allows you to see what's happening on the inside bid and offer more clearly. Like make those first two prices larger and more granular or something like that, right? So it's an okay tool. There's that one concern, but like if you realize that, can you use it? Can it be useful? Yes. Ultimately, I think you're better off just watching the DOM. I think that most people are interested in it because it looks cool and not because it's giving you a big advantage. So that's not to say like if you have a heat map and you're using it, like you should stop. Just that I would put more effort into learning the DOM. Watching, if you're scalping, like if you're doing intraday trading of futures, I think everybody that wants to do that should spend at least a month watching the DOM on 10-year treasury futures and watching how the market reacts to different things. Like right there, we just blew through an almost 8K iceberg. And then immediately there was 4K bid behind it, which is a lot more than we typically have. So that was a pretty strong uptick that time, right? That doesn't necessarily mean it's just like a tea leaf. It's a tea leaf, but it's a good tea leaf towards the upside, right? And these behaviors are really, really apparent in the 10-year treasury. So if you watch it for a month, like watch my order flow video series, because I kind of tell you the right things to look at, the things that like we know are proven rather than just like people's theories, so that you know that you're looking at the right things, or at least you're looking at things that we know are real. And you'll get a feel for them. Like the behaviors are very, very apparent. Okay, so by the way, ZB has decided to rocket back up to the highs, and they've got a pretty big bid at that 09, and we have had a few contracts now trade at 10. So they might be going for the next leg. It's either they're going to go, or ZB is going to get stuck here. I suppose you could have a false breakout. But at the moment, well, and we're going to see, it looks like there's a lot. Let's reset. There was a big iceberg at 14.5. There's a big iceberg at 15. Like they might have to clear 10K contracts at 15 to get through that. Probably goes to R+2. You know, I think that given the retail sales news, that overall on the day, that we will make another new high. The question is whether we do it before I leave. And whether or not there's like another major pullback before it happens. Interestingly enough, let's come back over here, because this is another important thing to note. If you look in the 10-year over here, oh my gosh, you're not going to be able to see that. Hold on. Hold on. Where are you? There's that. There's the control. Okay. When you look at the 10-year, it's kind of flat. So where is it coming from? It's coming from ZB. It's coming from ZB. And so because of that, I think the fact that we are at the regular session +1 sigma, you know, there's kind of some resistance there. So we kind of, I don't want to get too optimistic. It could hard fail here. But I'm liking it because the 10-year also looks really strong. Let's see here. I want to learn the DOM. I've been trading just candles and it never clicked that much. So I start using the heat map and it made it more clear for me where price wants to go and how I can start learning the DOM to improve. Yeah, interesting. So, I don't like really, you should just watch the videos, but so what are some of the behaviors that we actually see in the markets? Okay. The first one that I should note is volatility. This has nothing to do with what we're seeing on a chart or what we're seeing on the DOM, but it's probably the biggest, most well-established, let's call it strange property of markets.
Block
is that expected volatility always tends to be larger than realized volatility. That is the amount that the market is expecting it to move, and it doesn't move as much. Okay, so that's a really big one, and that's kind of why we're looking at this sigma, this +1 sigma, is that's the level that the market was expecting the 30-year to move in a session. If it's a trend day, then we're going to get to R+2. Okay. I don't know. We're already past the extended session measures of that, by the way. Okay. So volatility is an important one to look at, right? Now in order flow, the property that we get that is the most significant is that there's a strong autocorrelation in order flow signs. What does that mean? That sounds weird, right? Signs, I know what the word sign means, but how does that apply here? So in this case, sign means whether the order is a buy or a sell. So basically what we're seeing is if I come in and I just pick a random order, is it a buy or a sell? Was the market order, market side of it, a buy or a sell? And let's say that it's a buy. If I come back an hour from now and I pick another random order, there is a 0.5% higher chance that it will also be a buy. Just two orders randomly chosen. Okay, so that's the degree of autocorrelation. So basically, if the market orders are net buying, that tends to persist. Okay. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that price goes along with it, because there could be some correlation and other things holding them back, right? But price tends to go in the direction of the order flow imbalance, right? And those order flow imbalances are persistent. So that's the first thing that you really want to look at. That they were buying, they'll continue to buy over long periods of time, right? And why is that? They've done a lot of like make models to try and explain why it is. Is it like everybody's following each other? And those models don't seem to explain what's going on. And the best model that we have is large meta orders, which is to say that there are really big players out there that have to buy a ton. They have to buy a ton and they can't They can't do it all at once, so they have to buy over a really long period of time. And that's why you can come back even an hour from now and they'll still be buying because they'll still be executing that large meta order. Okay, that's the big one. And then the second one that you're going to tend to see is that price tends to rest where supply and demand are at their minimum. So if you get a lot of orders trade in one spot, the liquidity providers don't want to provide liquidity in that area anymore. So you get this area where there's low liquidity, and then just above it and below it, there's really high liquidity, and you get stuck there. You get stuck there. So that's the other one that you want to watch. And you'll see that very, very clearly in the treasuries. You get this sort of thing, right? And the game is try and predict that that's going to happen by watching the DOM, because sometimes the DOM will give you a signal that that's going to happen. Okay, so those are the two things that I would watch for the most. All right, are we going to test the DOM on the VPS today? That's a good question. I've been nursing this trade over here, so I haven't pulled it up. But let's I can put it on the other screen over here, over top of my charts. And oh, I did download it. So oh, I probably have to unload it first, huh? By the way, in the 10-year, as we've been moving up, this is another thing that I've noticed. I don't have any research about this, but you'll get like really, really big stacks behind us, right? So when we have a strong trend and you get like they add more liquidity to one side behind the trend, that's a really strong sign of institutional activity. That kind of suggests that it could continue going up. Don't want to interrupt. Yeah, I know. I that's what I was kind of saying earlier, that like, well, maybe Thursday, but like it's a really heavy news week, right? So this wasn't the best week to do it, but we still need to do it because I don't know how long my NinjaTrader data over here will last. Let's remove that assembly. Let's see here. There's a big iceberg on the bid too. Interesting. I don't know if it's ever going to give me 10 ticks though. Oh, it says I have to restart now. Oh, I missed that 11K there too. So it took 11K to push through there, huh? Normally I would start getting antsy and like make sure that I have my limit order out there. But we still got 40 minutes, so I think we're probably okay on that side. Okay. Minimize this for a second. I want to watch this. Remind me in 10 minutes. Just watch it. That's a really, really big iceberg. That's a really, really big iceberg, and I'm want to see if we get above that iceberg, if we get a breakout kind of trade here. There was definitely a lot of liquidity there that they just pushed through. And I mean, they really pushed through it. So I should also know it's the 5-year that's leading the way now. So what I'm seeing at the moment, they're nibbling at 16, but there hasn't been a really forceful take there. Seems like the market orders are a little reluctant to hit it. There probably is an iceberg there at 15.5. I think that it might take it a few times. They might have to tick down and back up. Okay, 7K. Might be take another 10K plus to get through that. So another thing I should note, two other things I should note. One is that I think for this to continue, I want to see more buying in the 5-year. They're doing okay right now, though, so that's looking pretty okay. But the other thing that's going on is that the S&P 500, if I can pull that up over here, the S&P 500 is higher. They're not like to session, extended session highs, but they are moving up. And, this is where the news was. So there was the initial sell, like the knee-jerk reaction was a sell, and then they recovered and they pushed higher. So the equities might be, how do I say this? I think that the bet that the equities are making is that we're not going to go into a recession, but that this probably will give us easier monetary policy. And so stocks like that, they like that the policy is getting easier. This is I'm really glad I took the trade because this is one of the more interesting situations we've had in months, isn't it? I mean, that's some really, really big absorption there at the highs. Some good reasons for them to be buying the treasuries. Can it actually break out or not? Well, we'll see. Probably going to get some push and pull here where the 5 and the 30 are going to push up and try and pull the 10-year along with it. Because of these huge, huge icebergs in the 10-year. Like, I'm thinking, I don't know who it is that has all this liquidity out there at the highs, but probably he wants to get filled, right? I mean, he's taking the fills. So if he's having a hard time doing it, he might pull these other ones so that they push through on this one and fill them. But the interesting thing is going to be, how does the 9K at 16.5 and 17 behave? We have seen very, very strong stacking on the bids behind us, but there's a lot of liquidity above us as well. In fact, we're starting to get to the highest levels of liquidity, like equal to the highest levels of liquidity in the 10-year that I've ever seen. Now, the last time that this happened was in the year before the pandemic. It ended up being net buying. Like, funds really bought it up. And it was a very curious thing at the time, because we're like, is the market betting on a recession or something? And then who knows what the market was trying to do, because then the pandemic happened. And I don't think, unless you believe that the market knew the pandemic was going to happen a year before it happened, which some people think. It was certainly eerie and a little disappointing to me, because I wanted to see what they were doing without the pandemic, why they were buying it, right? Didn't really get to see it fully play out. But so that just kind of gives you a kind of an idea of past markets that were like this. Okay, so there was a
Block
a
sell.
little bit of machine gunning at 15.5. Here comes the open for the S&P. I should also add, liquidity in the micro 10-year is pretty okay right now, even though there doesn't seem to be a lot of retail traders putting it out. So that's also curious. Okay, they're going to take 15.5 bid again. It looks close. That sure is a lot there at 16. Down here it is bids pulling. So they just stacked some more at 15.5. Nobody's moving yet. Feeling kind of tense. I thought that maybe the open would cause some volume, but not really. Maybe with the S&P decides to move one way or the other. At the moment, the open seems to be a buy. Okay, so they flipped it. That is to say, the offer is larger than the bid. Well, then they just flipped it back. Is that because the 5-year? I'm kind of taking a look at the Japanese yen over here in the corner of my eye. They're also kind of doing the same thing, like they've come up and they've kind of reached some resistance. Or you just have to double click the exe and it installs automatically. Ah. Let me find it. Oh, that was a fast install. Wow, okay. Wow. Okay, so the 5-year just got slammed up there. And the 10-year cut through that 15.5. There was not like a large market order that came through on it, but they traded 8,000 contracts to go bid at 15.5 again very, very quickly. And they started hitting at the 16 almost immediately as well. So that doesn't necessarily mean that they can clear the 16, but it's definitely a better sign than last time. Okay, and there's another strong stack and click up. The 30-year is not quite going as fast, so we're getting some steepening in the curve too, which is more indicative of a risk-off move. Could, I think the thing that would really help us now is if the S&P 500 started to sell off, but that's not happening yet. The treasuries are just doing it on their own. So I think what I need to do, I need to add a new tab here. Kind of been saying, I don't know if I'll put it on everything. I'll wait until yada, 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 yada. Well, till I need it. And it looks like it makes sense now.
Block buy.
Wow. There we are. ZF volatility levels. Took enough to find them. Good grief. Been a while since we heard that sound. Which one? The block buy? Well, the block, one of the things that I had thought was curious was that we hadn't had a lot of those really big market orders crashing through in the session. They were still split up. But then, yeah, like all at once. Block buy. And you definitely saw the cumulative delta in the 10-year treasury move higher. So I am going to get myself a spot in line here. Wow, 14K is 16.5. So the question now is, like, at what point does it really slip? Like I thought there at 16 that was kind of indicative of a stop run sort of a thing. And yet they're still absorbing at 16.5 as well. Like, I think that has to be more than just market makers playing the volatility levels now, right? Granted, there is like a 3-year auction today, but I don't know why you would be seeing so much iceberging in the 10-year. The 5-year is at its highs, so I'm going to try and give it some room. But I am starting to think about where I can potentially get out because I've got about 20 minutes left. I'm probably being a little bit too detailed in what I'm thinking right now, but there was somebody in the comments complaining that they didn't have a session that was really good for them to look at where we'd taken a trade. So I'm trying to really walk through it today. That's a good uptick too, man. That was 20K iceberg. Wow. I think I've only seen a 20K iceberg a handful of times. That's huge. And they click up there too. Interestingly enough, the 30 years kind of dragging, so. Okay. Take 15. Watch it just explode from here now. So my thinking at the moment is that I only have 20 minutes, and the 30-year is the lagger. 30-year is, right, we're steepening so that their 30-year isn't moving as much. And so I'm concerned that even if we get a better stop run here, that I'm not going to get like that 5 more ticks that I was kind of looking for. So I kind of saw it at 15. I kind of like to take them on and off at even numbers or round numbers. So that kind of made sense. But I don't want anybody that's like still in to think like, oh, Seth thinks that it's over. Because ultimately I'm still kind of like, oh, this could do something crazy. I mean, that uptick looked really good. Dusting off my TLT position today. Right. I'm too lazy to go and pull it up, but I bet you that my TLT is back to break even. I didn't like that down tick. That one is a little bit... Okay, so there wasn't a big stack behind it. But that kind of behavior, like it often is like trend, and then like 2 significant downticks, and then that's kind of the end of it. And I'm concerned about this 16.5 becoming a magnet. I'm concerned about that monster 20K iceberg being a magnet. Like, it might just be like a vacuum, like all of the liquidity gets sucked out of this area, perhaps. Oh, sorry, that was way loud. See if I can get the flow window thing to work now. E-minis are still looking okay, huh? Oh, no, they've come down. And they're still talking in the UK about Starmer and all that stuff. Oh, hey.
Block
So
by.
it did install. I think we can take a deeper look at it tomorrow, perhaps. I like the changes to the icons, though. Did you change the color scheme? I wonder, okay, yeah, you changed the colors a little bit. Interesting. Yeah, we're going to have to take a look deeper at that tomorrow. So, yeah, it's not that black anymore. Yeah. So, what you should do is you should maybe, do you have like a change list? That way tomorrow we can go through that list and check out the new features. He's gonna do it at 17. So I have really mixed feelings about exiting that trade. So far, it hasn't gone further. I still think there's a possibility, but what I see is a slow-moving train. You know, like it doesn't matter how much liquidity they have there in front of it; they just keep slowly going up and up and up and up. You know, and usually what happens to me on the slow-moving train is that we run out of time and then it just keeps going all day. So I'm kind of feeling this is a possible stopping place, not necessarily like that stops the trend, just that we're going to take a break here. So we'll see. Who knows? It might just woof, boom. I mean, they've got the volume to do it. It's a little wild to me that the cumulative delta in the 10-year is not all that crazy. Percent speaking at the moment. Put this on ZN. Oh, I probably should change that chart to blocks. Candles kind of make it hard to see what's going on. So do you see there, like we made the big tick up and we're still, like I got out at 15.5, didn't I? Oh, it was not right at the 5.5. We did 172, 162, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, so I actually could have gotten 20. So maybe I made the wrong call.
Block by.
For some reason, I thought 15.5 was where it was at. Okay, there's still huge icebergs there, man. Wow. Did you like the black theme more like on the task? No, I don't like the black. Well, let me pull it back up here. The thing that I noticed was that the blue and red seemed to have changed a little bit. Like it was seemed a little darker. And the background is a little darker. But this up here, like it's not black, it's really dark, but it's not black. I think is way better. Like I really hate that Jigsaw has it black. You shouldn't in design from what I've learned about color design, not that I'm not the expert on this at all. I think I kind of suck at it. But from what I've learned, you'd never want to go full black and full white. That's too harsh. Oh man, let's see. So I got a 157. So I left 7 ticks on the table. And it looks like I did make the wrong call about that it was going to get stuck there. Like they're still going. But let's see where we're at by the end of the session. Thanks, I like this more too, yeah. Oh man, this is such an interesting trade. We're really, have I ever kept notes on this? Oh, I do have one. Oh, no, I don't have one. That's weird. Oh, I do. I have one Monday, 2024. Let's see, Monday, April 15th, 2024. Overnight Middle East tensions appear to have blown over treasuries down due to hot retail sales. Then you are further puke lower on stop runs, followed by a strong reversal rally on headline that Israel will strike back. Flow so strong on reversal. Good example to try and judge the strength of flows. Okay, well, whatever. We'll add an entry in here. Tuesday, 2026, 0209, right? Oh, 10. Weak retail sales leads to a bid in treasuries. Massive offer icebergs, 20K. That the market orders push through. Yeah. So again, the thing that I was thinking when I got out was, I'm not really getting paid too much for this. And so I got out. Now, we've made like maybe 3 ticks higher on ZN since that. But the thing that I think actually kind of made it that I should have kept in was that ZB kind of caught up a little bit. Right? Like ZB, like, drove through from 12 to 16. And so I thought we were lagging because of the steepener and all of that sort of a thing. And then it equalized. Like, look right here. You see in ZB where like I was seeing this and I thought, oh, the steepener is coming. I should get out. That was about right there. And then it went further. So I don't know if I necessarily made obviously I made a mistake. If there was money on the table, it would have been better for me to have gotten the other 7 ticks. But I'm more trying to figure out if there was a flaw in my analysis. And I think in this case, the only thing that I could have said was that this is going to go all session and I want to keep this on until I have to go. Right? Then I might have been able to get a little bit more. But you can see here, again, 5.7 is where I got out. So I was kind of right that it might be hard to get out. And you have to start thinking about the super light liquidity in the micro 10-year. Changes a few things, doesn't it? Oh, hey, Paul, where you been? Been a week this past week. My burp popped its fire, and now I need all 4 new. Oh, wait, you're, I don't know what burp is. But then my washer broke. Part should be here. No, dude, it's like all of your home appliances. Oh, you're Suburban. All of your appliances will die at the same time. It's like there's planned obsolescence, and they all have the same number of years of planned obsolescence built into them. So when one starts breaking, everything in your house starts breaking. Although if it's a Suburban, wow. Car's a different thing. I don't know about cars. Oh my gosh. So, oh, I didn't get a picture. Oh, maybe I can do it this way. Hold on. I'll send the picture to my wife, and then I can open up on Facebook on my desktop here. You can fix everything appliance related for less than the cost of a new appliance, except for control boards. If your control board goes, just buy new stuff. Yeah. I had some where, well, so for me, it was like we repaired them multiple times, and then they were truly dead. But I don't remember what it was about them that made me think that they weren't worth fixing anymore. But I had to fix the washer and the dishwasher and the water heater, like all at the same time. There we go. So I finally got my multiple monitors set up, put together at work. I ain't showing anything. Here's a picture of it. I'm not showing anything on the screens because I don't want to risk showing any important information. But that's the way that this setup is. I tell you what, I've done 3 screens before. That setup is 4 screens. And 4 screens is a lot more than 3. Like, I was really shocked at how ridiculous it ended up being. Now part of it is that because I've got that baffle that goes around the back of the desk, I couldn't use the full arms to get the monitors on the side to come up close, right? But then the other thing is the double stack on top. Like how the height that second stack adds, what I was not expecting. And I was kind of like, I knew that I was doing, like, not very many people do this sort of, nobody's brought their own stuff in. This is kind of a little bit silly, but it's totally me, and I'm okay, marching to the beat of my own drum and all that kind of stuff, right? But this was a little bit too far out there. Like, it was further out than I thought it was going to be because of the double stack. So, like, anyways, the other thing is the sideways monitor. Oh my gosh. That is so good. Because when I'm doing stuff on the command line, and I'll have like 2, I'll split my screen in half, and I can fit 2 on there. And with it sideways, even like it just uses the real estate better for looking at code and stuff. So I can have like 4 or 5 command lines on this screen like that. It's great. So sideways monitor, I am totally all in on the sideways monitor. Now, I do think that there are some monitors you can buy now that are the equivalent size of all of these. So maybe that's what I should do, is I should just go and get one of those. They're like a few $1,000, but maybe I could do it. I want to make a video about this, talk about this after I've used it for a couple of weeks. See, I think that I actually will make use of it. I only wanted the 3, and the 4 was just for fun. On number 4, I think I'm going to put stock charts and like monitoring stuff, because that's the one people probably could see the easiest over the top of my head. I don't know. Anyways, so the building guy helped me bring the monitors in, and while we were there, he noticed that the car was new, and that was embarrassing to me. Like, he probably thought nothing of it, but to me, I hate that I ended up buying a new car at the same time that I started a new job, Because isn't that like the classic thing? Is you get a new cool job, and so you go, you know, oh, I can live bigger, so I'm going to go and get a nicer car, sort of a thing, as like one of the bad financial decisions that people made, right? And that's not what happened. That's not what happened. I had a car that I knew was on its last legs, and I had already been looking, and over the Christmas break, I found the right deal. And I knew that because I traveled so far that I had to do it. So I took that chance. So it was a little different. I didn't just get a new car because, you know, you have a new car, not a cool, you're right. It's not a cool car. It's actually, dude, I think it's so funny. I don't know. I wouldn't say that the Crown is perfect. You know, like ultimately, I don't think the Crown does what Toyota wants it to. Because on one hand, it's supposed to be a crossover that looks more like a car, which apparently people don't want because it just looks so weird. So then they gave it a wagon back, and they made it a wagon, and people like that better, right? But the other side of it is that it's supposed to be like the crown jewel of Toyota, or like it's supposed to be the nicest one. And I it's nice, but I don't think it's quite there. Like the sound system in it is a really good JBL sound system, but the sub is just not half as good as the sub in my Acura was. And then if I really turn up the music, I can feel all of the panels on the side of the car, like the leather panel that goes in front of the metal, you know, like that shakes. Because if I go and I just put my hand on it, it stops. So like there's stuff in the cabin that so it's like they're trying to make it their top luxury. It's just like not quite. It's almost there, but not quite. But people weren't buying them, and that's how I got a good deal on it. So it's not a cool car. But that's kind of like more classically me, is like, yeah, there's a reason that people don't want it, and it's kind of a dumb reason that doesn't affect me. So it's a great pickup for me. Get a better car than I would have otherwise. Otherwise, I'd have to go to like a German car and pay out the nose and lease it and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the monitor thing plays out. I'm thinking we do this for a couple of months. I'm going to make a video and start a new channel with it. And then maybe hopefully at some point we get to try like a big... I think if I was going to do, you know, like, I don't know what they call them. They're like 56-inch monitors or something, you know? I would want it to be a little bit curved. A little bit, you know? Amazon Basic Sound Dampener is one of the best sound deadeners there is. The only caveat for hardcore thick panels, you need more layers than one in spots. So I looked at that. I really did. And the first thing is, I don't know if I have the wherewithal or the time to like pull my panel apart and put that stuff on there. But then the other issue is that like that's kind of more for like deadening like the outside of the car. And it's actually like the leather panel that's vibrating. So putting deadening behind that might not fix it. Is what I'm worried about on that. But I don't know, it hasn't bothered me in a week, so maybe I just don't do anything. Plus, I really need to get window tint. When the sun comes in, oh man, I feel it. So I really want some window tint UV protection. Like I need to get like the nano coating full UV protection sort of thing. An automotive closed cell foam, that is what. Yeah, but like I don't know how to describe it. So like, here's the inside of the car, right? And then there's like the leather panel. Like this is leather, right? And then there's like this plastic. And then and this part, these two things are connected to each other, and this comes off, right? And then there's the actual door. There's the actual door. So like what we would be doing is we'd be taking these two layers off and putting the sound deadener on the metal, right? And what I'm saying is that it seems to me that the vibration is happening right here. So I'm not convinced that putting the deadener on the metal panel will stop the vibration here. You see what I mean? There's like this, there's foam, and then there's the plastic. And I think that the foam panel is vibrating against the plastic. Okay, closed cell foam. What's that? It's a dense, rigid, and water-resistant material made of sealed, offers high structural strength and durability. Yeah. But I don't know. I when I looked at it, I was like, maybe this is something that I should have a professional do. But either way, I'm gonna get window tint first, and that's like $1,000, and then let's see how I feel about it. Because I haven't really felt it rattle this week. So maybe it was just sort of one of those things that like eventually solved itself. I don't know. Another thing that bothers me with the car is that my car doesn't always connect to the phone right away. That's probably the phone. Oh, did you pay for this setup by yourself or the company? The company gave me 2 monitors, and then I went out and got 2 more monitors and the stand. The stand is not the best quality stand, to be honest with you. It's a Vivo. But it was basically the only 4 monitor one that had that setup. So that's why I went with that one. And the monitors, I would say that I spent about $100 each on the 2 monitors. Maybe less. I ended up with, man, did I tell you this story where I went to pick up a computer and the computer came with all these monitors and I didn't realize it. So I thought I was just going to get like one 24-inch monitor, and I ended up with like 4 of them. And then when I bought the panels for my work setup, I also got a 32-inch panel that came with that. And so I gave put the 32-inch panel on the new PC downstairs for them to play Minecraft on. I think that works pretty good. So like we should minus the cost of that 32-inch from what I paid. And then I guess I need to sell these 24-inch monitors, but I don't even know if I get anything for those. So maybe it ends up being a little bit less than 100. So it was like 300 for the whole setup that I paid. And then the big thing was that docking station, which is worth like $800 that we got to do a review on. I don't feel like the video that I did on that does that device justice. Just like, I don't know what you're going to say about it, but it is without question the coolest docking station you can get. And it is incredible. And it's just kind of sitting there on the desk and nobody really, you would never know. This is a $700 device. I don't know. I try to be, I want everything to be excellent. I want my work to be excellent. I want my handwriting to be excellent. I want my computer setup to be excellent. And I'm worried that that might come across to other people as like you're trying too hard or you're trying to impress everybody, right? Because I don't. I want it to be the opposite. I'm trying to have the sleeper build, but it's not turning out that way. So I have mixed feelings about it. But it doesn't matter. I think I'm gonna make use of the 4 monitors. So it's definitely gonna help my productivity because I'm having to switch between things too much and yeah. I'm excited. Anyways, it is time for me to get going. So I will see you guys tomorrow for that non-farms. Ooh boy. After today, non-farms get me a little bit shaky, huh? It's gonna be an interesting one. So I'll see you guys then. In the meantime, stay excellent, team.